All right. This is Tim Blanchard with divorce661.com. And today we're talking with Linda Lingo, who's a financial coach and CPA. She's going to tell us about what a financial coach is. I'm going to give a quick bio on her, and then she's going to take over the controls. So, Linda Lingo is authority on women building wealth, her successful 35-year career in corporate America, and her 10-year as a financial advisor has given her practical experience, radical knowledge. I like that, radical, and a deep understanding of the best ways to manage money for the modern day. Her website is lindalingo.com. I like to get that out of the way in the beginning. I don't know how many people make it to the end. And Linda has a coaching program. She has a lot of resources on there. I was poking around today, some pretty cool little guides that you can download. But Linda, take it away. Tell us about more about yourself. We're going to be talking about gray divorce today and some other financial coaching information.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you for having me on your radio show. I appreciate that. So I'm a financial coach. And first of all, I want to get the difference between a financial advisor and a financial coach out of the way, because there is a lot of confusion out there.
Please.
So a financial advisor, which I was for 10 years, is licensed to sell stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and some of us are licensed to sell life insurance as well. And so we meet with people and we help them with their financial goals, and we do their investing or recommend investments to them. And did that for 10 years, loved it. I actually became a financial advisor because of the horrible experience I had with my financial advisor. And so I walked out of his office thinking, I can do this job much better than you can. And I don't want a woman to ever be talked down to or have a condescending conversation with their financial advisor. So I thought, I'm a CPA. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a smart gal. And went home, Googled, how do you become a financial advisor? And after studying hard and taking the exams, passed and became a financial advisor. Loved it. But what I found out was women want more education before they make an investment decision. And so I transitioned, or pivoted, as everybody likes to say now, to a financial coach. So I let go my securities licenses, which means I no longer recommend specific investments, and I no longer take people's money and invest it for them. So I coach. In other words, I'm an educator. I am a holistic financial coach and life coach, in that there are a lot of aspects to money. And I think, unfortunately, financial advisors get very tunnel vision on the money. And as a financial coach, I get to broaden that, because there's a lot more to it than that. As a matter of fact, I dive into the emotional aspect of money before we even talk about the dollars and cents. So I just wanted to get it. So a financial coach does not take your money and invest it for you. They educate you so you can make informed decisions yourself or with your financial advisor. I help to take the trepidation, the intimidation out of the lingo and make it very easy to understand.
Is there a conflict between financial advisor and financial coach? And by the way, I'll be taking a lot of notes because I forget what I want to ask you when people are talking. So would there have been a conflict to be a financial advisor and a financial coach simultaneously?
Not necessarily. However, you don't get compensated being a financial coach. You get compensated to invest. And financial advisors often will talk about how many clients they're serving or assets under management. It's the dollar sign.
Got you. And speaking about, can you go back to, you said, and I missed the last part of it, but you brought up the word emotional. Could you go over that again? It's an emotional approach.
Yeah, absolutely. So believe it or not, our relationship to money starts as early as age 3. And a lot of us don't recognize, I didn't for many years, what our true relationship to money is. It's subconscious. It actually is formed in the home. Youngsters we're like little sponges. We soak up what our folks are saying, and how they're doing, what they're doing, and how they're acting. So, for instance, growing up, my mother's love language was gift giving. My father's was not. And every Christmas they would argue. They would argue about she bought too many gifts for us. So I internalized that to be, oh, gifts are bad, money's bad because it causes arguments. So I stayed away from gift giving as because I thought it would always bring up arguments. So that's the emotional. So I work with women and couples in defining what their money story is, helping them identify what their money story is. That's the emotional side of it, because you have to know where you're at in order to know, okay, is that where I want to stay? Or do I want it to be something different? I didn't want to stay in that mindset. So consciously, I chose to change my mindset. It's like, our mind is a fascinating thing. And that subconscious, it was like we had little ruts. And so we have to change that pathway. And it takes some work and effort, but it can be done. And that's where I start when I'm coaching on money, is the emotional side. I call it, and values, really understanding what your values are, because, well, we can get into that. But anyway, values and the money story is where I start.
So that being subconscious, I guess that makes sense that you start off with the emotional part of it, because you can't coach someone on making financial decisions until they understand why they've been making the financial decisions in the past.
Bingo. Yep. Exactly. But
When you
subconsciously, many people don't realize that.
Yeah, they exactly. Until you said that, I was like, well, that makes total sense.
Thank you.
So you distinguish the difference between financial advising and financial coaching. The financial coaching is educational. Starting with the emotional side, what are some of the other tenets that are involved with the education portion of it?
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to say it's educational, and it's helping clients put together a plan of, this is where they are financially or with a relationship to money, and this is where they'd like it to be. And so I help them put a plan together. It's just like you're going to take a trip. Well, you don't usually just get in the car and start. You know where you want to go, and you have MapQuest or some way of getting there. And working with a coach is the same way. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm stuck, I'm not sure why, but I know I want to get out of this rut. I know I want to change the way I am relating to money, the way I'm working with money, the way money's not working with me, and be in a place of abundance, be in a place of wealth. And so when I work with my clients on building wealth, that's what it's all about. I use the VIIP method. It's what I've developed. And so we start with the values and the money mindset. And then the second phase is, okay, so I hate the word, I know hate is very strong, but that's where I'm at, the word budget. It makes my skin crawl. It makes me shut down. And so I don't use it. So we work on an intentional money spending and saving plan, because I help my clients, if they're in debt, actually save their way out of debt. And so that is the I. And the second I, VII, is investing. And so we go over investing. I'll go as much into detail as my clients desire. And then it's P for protecting what they've built. How, we work so hard to build up wealth. And then what, So it's protecting it. It's deciding how, when we want to leave a legacy. What does that look like? What does that mean? So that's my building wealth tenet that I use.
And how can you explain to me what a holistic approach means?
To me, it means not just the money, the dollars and cents, but it means the emotional. It's the emotional and the intellectual. It's the whole person coming to the table. Because what I have found in working with clients is, if we just jump into the intellectual, the dollars and cents, if you will, unless you know how you're relating to money, what your values are, you cannot set financial goals in alignment with those values unless you know what they are. And I've seen way too many women fall off the bandwagon because they thought this should be their goal. I'm tired of people asking the $5 question. They should be asking the $50,000 question. It's go buy the freaking lottery. That is not going to make or break you. I don't care what anybody says. But if you have a credit score and you're constantly having to pay the highest interest rate, that's big dollars. You can change that, and that will make a difference in your money.
You said women want more education. Is that just because men and women are built differently, psychology wise? What do you mean by that? I mean, I know what that means, but
Yeah.
explain that to me.
Well, I think women are from Venus and men are from Mars, and we think differently. It's not bad or good. It's just the way we're created, I believe. And so let me back up. My perspective is, and it's documented, is that the finance world has been dominated by men. I mean, when I was a financial advisor, less than 10% of financial advisors were women. And that's still the statistic. It might have gone up to 11%, but it's still incredibly low. And what happens is male financial advisors tend to talk to, if it's a couple, the man, the husband. And the woman often feels left out of the conversation, and they don't want to feel stupid. I mean, they don't want to ask the questions that and then be intimidated by the person sitting on the other side of the desk, so to speak. And so that is what I bring to the equation is, no question is a dumb question. Let's talk about it and let's go over it and let's review it so you understand it. And it doesn't mean like they have to understand stocks, bonds, and mutual funds to the nth degree, but it does mean understanding the difference between them and how they play into your portfolio and what they can do for you. So it's been my experience, and that's why I speak that way.
Yeah. So, and that kind of goes back to how you ended up in financial planning is you're talking about having kind of being spoken down to, condescending. And that's still shocking that that would happen. And then in this environment, you're saying that, I imagine that they go together to see their financial planner, and you're saying that the man, the financial planner is talking to the husband and kind of maybe not even paying attention to what the wife has to say. It's an interesting
Yeah.
thing going on there.
Statistics are that 70% of, if it's a husband and wife and they have had a financial advisor, the husband passed away, 70% of the widows will change financial advisors because they never felt a connection. That's huge.
Well, and is it something that the financial planner world, since it's 90% of them are men, I believe it was your statistic, that the financial planner needs to be more educational, or how could that be fixed? And the second part of that question is, what could the wife do who feels this way, say or do to move into a more position of power?
Great questions. I think the financial advisory community is recognizing that they need to be more in tune with both men and women, but they're recognizing that. I think sometimes it's hard to change patterns of behavior, especially if what you've been using works. But the statistics are also women are what we are inheriting the wealth. So baby boomers passing away, our children are inheriting it, but the majority is passing to women, and women drive the economy. We are the ones who decide where the money's going to be spent. We are the ones who honestly make or break the budgets, as far as our home budgets or our community. We are the givers. We are much more philanthropic. And so I think the financial advisory world is recognizing this. I think younger men are starting to try to work and learn how to talk with women, but It will take a while, I think, to transition to that. And as far as what women can do, get a financial coach, get educated. I tell my clients, read something that has to do with money for at least 5 minutes a day, or listen to a podcast. There's so many ways that you can do it now, but just start listening so you are starting to pick up the vocabulary a little bit. And then if that prompts questions, then start asking the questions. Don't be intimidated. But so many women are. And the other thing is, we have so many things on our plate that taking the initiative to really educate ourselves in another area requires time. And time is a precious commodity, especially if you're a wife, if you're a mom, if you have a career. I mean, I can certainly relate to that. But what happens, and the majority of my clients are actually women, midlife women going through a transition. Because if you're going through a divorce, if you're all of a sudden a widow, if you're changing a career, or an empty nester, it usually is some kind of a life event that will trigger, oh my goodness, I need to get serious about my finances. I need to be more involved, or I need to put a plan together. I mean, I remember when I turned 50, it was, shit, how did this happen? And now it's like, I got to focus on the next couple years, the next decade, really making sure my retirement was in place. And it's a good thing, because after 40 years of marriage, I went through a divorce, and that changed a lot of things.
Yeah. So do you think it's a mistake for what would appear to be happily married, couples, that the wife allows the husband to have complete financial control not because they don't want to be involved, but just because they trust their spouse? And is there what should they do to be more involved, so these things, not so they don't need a financial coach, but so there isn't this shock and awe at 50 or when there's a life change?
Yeah, great question. So what I recommend is, well, yes, first of all, don't abdicate, because that's what's happened, whether it's to their spouse, whether it's to their financial advisor. I've seen both. It's somebody else will take care of it. Well, somebody else takes care of it until an issue happens or an event happens. And then it's like, oh my gosh. So yes, they need to be involved. It doesn't mean they don't trust their partner. It just means they're informed and they're part of the conversation. And so what I recommend to my clients is having a money date and making it fun. This is not, and it's a no judgment zone. It's just, I'd like to be in the loop. I'd like to know where we are. Not only that, but it's also, how can you set goals, as a couple? How can you set goals together if you don't know where you're financially at? So it's coming back to, what are your values, setting goals together, and then having a money date, whether it's once a week or at least once a month, just to get caught up on, hey, this is where we're at. I was just having a conversation. This couple is planning their a overseas trip, and it's like, okay, well, let's get on the same page first of all, and then let's save for it. And so it brought up a lot of conversation about where their money is going, how they're spending it. Was that in alignment with their values? So it's having those conversations in a non-judgmental, we're on the same team, we're working towards the same goal. This is how we're going to make it happen. We're going to work together. So it can change the whole dynamic of a marriage.
And we shouldn't put this, I had this thought while you're talking about this, we shouldn't shoulder this entirely on the wife. I think maybe us men can step up and say, hey, here's where we're at, and bring them into the fold. Maybe that's the other part of it.
Absolutely. It's two, it takes two to tango. Absolutely.
You said something earlier, made me think of, I forget the name of the movie, but they said, you're saying that the wife kind of runs the world, and I remember the reference in a movie that the man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
Pretty much.
So we were going to talk about gray divorce, and I'll have you kind of describe what that is. It's I imagine that's one of these life changes you're referring to. I'm sure, death of a spouse would be one. It just another life changes, divorce, of course. If you could explain what gray divorce is in your own words, and then talk about maybe some of the special considerations that might need to be dealt with.
Yeah. So gray divorce is defined as couples age 50 and older getting divorced. And it's typically, not always, but typically from a longer lasting marriage. And it was coined because researchers found that demographic, the rate of divorce in that demographic is increasing. And it's actually up a quarter and of all divorces, and 1 in 10 is occurring in people age 65 and older.
Wow.
And there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one is that, if you've been married 20 years or more, they say they grow apart. And I think sometimes that happens when communication isn't great. It usually happens after they're empty nesters. A lot of times they'll stay together for the kids,
Yep.
which is like the worst reason to stay together, but they do.
I agree.
And then, it's a longer life expectancy. I've had many clients who've said, the thought of spending another 30 years with this person was just, I couldn't do it. And so it's that longer life expectancy. I think women are starting to come into their own and realize that, it's their life too. And we tend to give a lot, whether we're wives, whether we're mothers, whether we're in career position, we're giving. And I think when it comes to, those, especially early 60s, and we're thinking about retiring and kind of the next phase of our life, it's all of a sudden we're kind of able to dream about what do we want our life to look like. And it may be nothing like what we are experiencing right now. And then, some couples just say they lose the spark. And unfortunately, yeah, that happens. And I think once again, it's lack of communication. It's lack of those values and having goals, setting goals together, and kind of, not waiting until you retire to kind of figure out what you want your life to look like, but, through your entire marriage, working on that. So that's some of the reasons. And that's how the gray divorce is defined.
Yeah. Dynamics certainly change, right? You get married, then there's kids. That's a new addition. Then there's, job changes. Then the kids grow, then they get older, then they move out. Then you're kind of back to square one, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like for my wife and I, we got married, had kids right away. And so that dynamic quickly changed. And I was like, I didn't sign up for this, that for the kid thing.
Yeah.
It totally changes the scenario.
Yeah.
Now, but the on the other side of it, now our kids are 26 and 24. So we've had, not that they're not in the house, one's out, one's still in the house, but you still got to parent them, but not like when they were children. So we're kind of found that we now get to foster what we had in that short period of time before kids, whereas most of the people we know still have, young teens in their house. So we, I think we was just our living together alone. It was just put to the back burner, but now we've rekindled that. So because we didn't have that opportunity.
Which is awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So is there any special considerations from a financial coach perspective when people are going through a gray divorce versus maybe they're only married 5 years and they're in their 30s or 40s?
Yes. So another statistic I just wanted to leave your listeners with is women, when they divorce over 50, so as part of the gray divorce, their income will fall by about 40%. Men's will suffer or decrease by about 23%. Those are government statistics. So there's a significant impact on women. Yes, gray divorce is different from getting a divorce, younger divorce, in that usually you have had a career or 2 or 3, so you have retirement accounts or a pension. And these are critical because they all enter into spousal support. Now, times are changing, but there's still a lot of couples where it was very traditional, and the man worked and the woman stayed at home and had the children and, took care of the house. But that means she didn't have very much in Social Security, and she doesn't have an income source. So to get a divorce at, say, age 60, she's probably not going to go out and start a new career and start building that retirement account. I mean, yes, she can work, but it's not the same as being 30 and being able to have a career and be contributing to a retirement account and be building that up in anticipation of your retirement. And so the retirement planning aspect of a great divorce is critical, and it's more convoluted, and it probably in some aspects requires experts depending on what type of retirement plans you have in place. The other thing is you got the home, the family home. You've probably had it for a while, so your mortgage may be very low, or you may have paid it off, so there's no mortgage. So that whole asset comes into play. And then the other one is, was the woman involved in the finances at all? And maybe this is the time where she's like, oh my goodness, I really have to understand, you know, what I can afford and what does my life look like, and what do I need right now? And so that is where my coaching comes into play, is really helping those women have a plan in place so they can go from not just surviving their divorce, but to thriving afterwards.
It sounds like a very perilous position to be in. You have the woman's income falling by 40%. And in the scenario you just built up of our imagined couple here, income drops by 40%. Let's assume the family home gets sold, so they have some walking away money, but their cost of living is going to increase significantly on top of the 40% decrease because of just buying a new house and interest rates, or the rental market is crazy everywhere.
Yep.
Why is the woman's income dropped so considerably? Is this because of the scenario of they weren't working and now it's a percentage of husband's income as spousal support?
Yes, that and no Social Security or very little Social Security. So both of those things taken into consideration. It could be, the husband is going to have to pay spousal support. And so maybe that requires getting a life insurance on him because you're dependent on him. And if he
Yeah.
dies, that goes away. So, I mean, so it can be, so there are a lot of aspects to it. Maybe, yeah, the kids might be out of the house, but, who do the kids have the relationship? Who do they look to for maybe that additional support that, isn't quote child support, but I have adult children. I have a daughter in her 20s, and I know when I go to see her, I'm the one that I pay for our dinners out. I mean, gladly,
Right.
and entertainment and things like that. So it's looking at the whole situation, but in general, those are the statistics.
Yeah. You're talking about I think dual, people not wife not working, long-term marriage, and then, that I was saying that was becomes more perilous. You know, I want to ask you, and I'll preface it, but I want to ask you what percentage of maybe your clients or people you're coaching are coming from a dual income versus, I don't know if we can even say a traditional marriage where one spouse doesn't work. Because my wife opened my eyes up a few years ago. I said, hey, the business is doing good. I like you having you around. She was helping with the business. And, why don't you consider, quitting or retiring? And I thought I was doing her a favor saying that, you don't have to work, you don't have to commute and do all these things. And we were on a walk with the dog and she said, you know, if I were to quit and you were to die, I couldn't run your business. And then what I do? And so having good intentions, trying to think I'm doing her a favor, I was like, you are absolutely correct. It was very eye opening.
Smart woman.
Yeah, smarter than me, that's for sure. But the question was on the dual income. I imagine, are you seeing people people with dual incomes or have been working throughout the marriage, they're not going to have the same problems as one spouse staying at home.
No, they will not have the same problems. Those are different. But I mean, I'll take my own instance. I always had a career, worked, contributed to my 401k, and he was self-employed. And so the tables got turned in that I ended up writing him the check, 6-figure check. And so I knew what our retirement was going to look like. And it wasn't just cutting it in half, because I had this pot of money sitting in our retirement account that was making money. And all of a sudden, it's not growing the way it was forecasted to.
Mm.
It was half as much. So I had to redo all of my numbers. I mean, I'm thankful for the divorce. The day I felt so free. But all that to say is the numbers change. And you should never stay in a marriage because of the numbers. But they do change, and it's compounding value of money. All of a sudden you got half the value. It's not going to grow as much as you had anticipated, which means you either delay your retirement, which many people do, or you phase into it, which is becoming very popular. It's not like, 65, I'm retired, I'm going to go play golf. It's, I am now transitioning. I'm going to work, maybe 20 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week. And I am going to travel a little bit more. And that's actually what I'm doing. I'm working less, I enjoy it, but I'm also pursuing some of those other activities that I greatly enjoy. But all that to say, this is not the retirement I envisioned. And I think that happens with a lot of couples where they're both working. It's, especially in their 50s is where I see women really focus on, okay, I'm going to get laser focused. This is when I have time to, increase my income. It's probably the highest income they'll ever have. They can really focus on it. The kids are out of the house, and they can really put their retirement plan in place and kind of, okay, 66, 67, 70 is my target. What is it going to take? What's my number? That's what I get asked all the time. What's my number? It's different for everybody. But anyway, all that to say, so yeah, so it is different depending on, single income or dual income. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're talking about the traditional retirement that you'll retire and go play golf. I don't know if you think people are still doing that these days. It would seem odd to me to just one day quit and do absolutely nothing. I don't know, maybe in 10 or 15 years that won't seem so odd, but I don't know. I guess I could find plenty of, on the weekends, there's plenty of things to do if I'm not working to fill my day.
Mm-hmm. Well, I see some of that. I wouldn't say it's as prevalent as it was. I see more people transitioning. That's what I see.
I like that word.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down.
I think it's smart. It's like, and I was coaching one woman. She cracked me up. She goes, I know. And she was coaching just because she wanted to get her retirement on fast track. And she was happily married. She goes, I married him. I said I do for as long as we live. She goes, I just didn't know it was going to be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She goes 24/7. She goes, I'm transitioning. I'm going to transition into my retirement because I can't imagine working 40 hours, out of the house, and then all of a sudden being there full time. And I think that's smart. It's not that, you don't wake up and it's like, well, I can't stand being at home full time, but it's like, let's transition, and I think it gives people, men and women, an opportunity to explore different things, whether it's volunteering, whether it's, working at a winery just came to mind because that's one of the things I love doing, whether it's traveling, whether it's spending more time with the grandkids, whatever you kind of get to start deciding what does a life you desire look like, and you get to make it up your way. And I actually go through a series of, I call it my dreaming exercises with my clients who are working on what they want their retirement to be, and we walk through some, who do you want to be with, what does that look like, where do you want to be, what do you want to do?
Yeah, you brought up your coaching program. I wanted to see if we could dive into some of your programs. And if you could kind of detail the types of clients you work with and Are they coming in, you just mentioned, happily married, but wanted some financial coaching. So I guess people can enter your various coaching programs at any point. Happily married, just want to be more financially informed, tragic life events that then, trigger them to need to reach out to you. Can you go into detail about what you have going on?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So I say I'm an experiential coach. And that means I have a lot of gray hair. And so I've had a lot of experiences. My ideal client are those midlife women who are having a transition or a midlife experience, and it has made money their priority, not in a positive way. They want to have a better relationship with their finances. I also coach women who have an okay relationship with money, but they really want to take it to the next level. They want it to be great. They want to experience abundance in their life. They want to not struggle quite so much. And so I actually have, I'm offering a VIP experiential day with me so that I can be laser focused on them and really work with them, starting with where they're at, where they want to be. And we go through quite a bit. It's really a transformational experience, and it's at my favorite vacation spots. So I have one coming up in June. We'll be in Maui. I have one in July. We'll be on a beautiful river up in Montana. And I have one in August here in the Pacific Northwest in the Willamette Valley, where it's great wine country. You don't have to drink wine in order to do that one. But so that's really fun. I coach couples who really want to get on the same page. So my perfect client is someone who is committed to making a change. They know they have to change something. They're committed and they're willing to put in the effort, not in a physical sense so much as in a mental sense, and really want to take their relationship to money to the next level. I always say I work with women to help them make money their best friend.
So you work with women independently,
Mm-hmm.
life transition issues.
Mm-hmm.
And you also coach couples. The VIP coaching that you were discussing, is that couples based?
Nope, it's only for women. It's me and one other gal. We only do one-on-one. It's very special.
Oh, that's one-on-one, huh?
Oh, it's only one-on-one. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Very immersive, I would imagine.
That's a good word, immersive. Yes.
And then you have, I'm looking at your website. You have some other coaching, the wiser you, mend the past, grow the future, grow your future, understanding investing, your financial confident future. Are these virtual coaching? Are these couples coaching? Are these individual coaching programs, or do they all kind of roll one to the other?
So I don't have a cookie cutter approach. Mine is all individualized. And so those are all aspects that typically enter into what my clients require coaching on. And so, and some people might go, I don't need the investing right now, but I really need to get my money story straight, and I need an intentional money and spending plan. That's great. Then that's what we'll focus on. But women who work with me typically start at the beginning and work through the entire VIP process.
Mm-hmm.
And so that encompasses what you just discussed. And that usually takes about 6 months.
I was just going to ask you what a typical coaching program might look like.
Yep.
6 months. So they can kind of come in, whatever maybe they feel is their immediate need, but then it will evolve into the remainder of what you come up with in your coaching.
Right. And it's a conversation that we have too, because many times they don't even realize what they need. They think they know what they want, but they don't always know what they need.
You have a lot of resources on your page, which I like. You have a bunch of videos and resources, and you had a bunch of guides on here. Do you find people obtaining these guides and as a kind of an initial first step to reaching out to you?
Absolutely. So that's a great way for them to get to know me, to see who I am and what I'm about. The Gray Divorce is probably one of the more popular freebies that I have for people to, you can just click on it and download it. But they're all very useful and they're all timely. And it depends on where, what people need, where they are in their life. Some of them, it's like, I got to figure out, how to get my finances in order. And so that's another guide that I have. But the divorce one has been very popular. I put up the media page just so people could see the other podcasts I've been on,
Uh-huh.
because I think when they see me in, live, so to speak, they get a sense of who I am, because, money, working with somebody, and especially about money, it's a trust issue. I mean, to open up and be vulnerable and say, I have $100,000 in credit card debt. Yeah, I make six figures,
Yeah.
and many of my clients do, but I'm spending it all. I cannot rein it in. I don't know how to do this. It's like, okay, well, let's figure it out. So it's a huge trust factor. And so I think it's really great for people to be able to see those videos. And I have a YouTube channel too that people click on.
Yeah, on your in the media page, you have a ton of YouTube videos, and I agree with you 100%. I think there's some crossover with what I do and you do as far as a certain level of comfort level, identifying with you, seeing if that is so if they even like you.
Right.
And I think it saves us both time for someone to, watch a video or two or a podcast and say, yeah, something just rubs me the wrong way about that guy. Well,
Exactly.
that's great. Then we weren't going to hit it off anyways. I'm sure the same for you, right? It's kind of a top of the funnel type scenario where they've already eliminated you. That's great. Now we're not wasting time on consultations and everything else, right?
Yes, yes. And if they do think they want to work with me, or then I offer a complimentary 20-minute call. We can talk a little bit about what they're looking for, where they're at. And I am very open and honest. If I'm not the right coach for them, if I don't think it's a good fit, I will tell them that right up. And,
I
I've
like
tried
that.
a couple other resources that I can, suggest, but yeah, because I don't want to waste my time. Like I said, I'm not in it to work 40, 60 hours a week anymore. And I don't want to waste their time or money.
Yeah.
That's not doing anyone a service.
Yeah, I think that's great that you are at that point in your transitioning
Mhm.
career, that you can kind of pick and choose your clients, because I do the same thing. Because if you get the wrong people in the door, it's just not going to work, and it becomes a waste of time, money, and then they're not going to be happy with you. And they do in my when they do slip through the door, or maybe I took someone on that not knowingly should, but didn't maybe qualify them enough. They take up a lot of resources,
Yeah,
and don't get the results that we had, hoped to get.
exactly. Exactly. And I don't know about you, but I'm at my point in life where I am surrounding myself with positive energy. And if somebody is just a constant energy drain, I mean, I know we
Yeah.
all have our days and we all have our issues and stuff. And trust me, if you're going through a divorce, oh my God. But it's being intuitive and knowing if that person is the right fit or not.
Yeah.
So,
I always tell folks when we do free consultations as well. And it is much about them learning, asking their questions as it is me asking specific questions back, getting a feel for, and you've done what you're doing a long time, as have I, and I can kind of read between the lines based on the answers, and I'll tell them straight out, I want to see if we're a good fit, you
mhm,
for me for you, and I'll tell you, 100%, if I feel like it's not a good fit and why.
mhm,
And it's not anything that's, rude or meant to be, nor is it said that way. But it's like, look, we have certain capabilities with what we do, specializing in amicable divorce. And based on you telling me this, I think it's going to go sideways, and it's going to be a waste of money. You'd probably be better served with an alternate service attorney or whatever. And they at the end of the conversation, they very much appreciate that, because I think that is lost in the business community, where we take all comers, and I'd rather get more of what I like, and I'll be able to do that if I have less of the people time sucking, for lack of a better word.
exactly. Oh, absolutely. You know how it is, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when I get a client that maybe slipped through the cracks or something, you wonder like, why was I so lucky to get this person,
Or what is the universe trying to teach me?
exactly. So, but it's a learning lesson. It's like, what did I miss on the consultation perhaps or whatever, but I'm totally fine letting the 20% go to other folks.
Yes, totally. Totally.
Well, what did I miss asking you, Linda? It's been a great conversation. I don't want to let you go without giving you an opportunity to give us any final thoughts. We've been going on here about 45 minutes, so I don't want to be respectful of your time.
Thank you.
We covered on how to get a hold of you, but in case people forgot, we can also close with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love what I do. I think, it's always good to have a positive relationship with money. That is not sinful. It is responsible. And my intention is to do my best to help people have that relationship, to have abundance in their life, whether it's financially, whether it's in relationships, or whether it's in success in any other aspect of their life. So yeah, I'm Linda Lingo, financial life coach, educating.
LingoLingo.com, free consultation. People, I do a 15-minute consultation. People are like, I'm going to hurry through this because we only have 15 minutes. You can get a lot accomplished in 15 minutes. And I'm assuming you can in 20 as well, as trying to assess what people need.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, again, so glad that you took 45 minutes of your day to talk to me. I will get this on both our audio podcast and video podcast on YouTube. I'll send you the links to everything to use as you please. And again, it was fantastic talking to you. I always learn so much. And I like just getting going on the video because I am genuinely interested in what you do and folks like you do. And because everyone has their a different twist, if you will, or a different way of doing things or different style, different programs. Some work with, women only, some work with the men only, some work with both. So it's just so many different. And for me, for what I do, so many of what clients that we handle, because we do simple amicable divorces, we do high volume, 20 to 30 a month, whereas maybe an attorney won't do that in a year. And there's a need for the services and coaching that you and folks like you offer.
Yeah, and I think one thing about the divorces, maybe to keep in mind if you haven't already, is, I realize there's an emotional aspect to the divorce and there's the financial aspect. And helping people recognize that, I think, is really important because we have to allow ourselves, I'm speaking from personal experience, we have to allow ourselves to emotionally work through divorce issues as well as the dollars and cents. And they're both equally important.
Again, fantastic talking to you. We'll definitely keep in touch. I'll make sure to find you on LinkedIn and all your social media. And we should stay in touch. I'm going to be creating a resource page on my website, and all the folks I interview will be there with a little caption of what they do. The more information I can provide to folks pre-divorce, if we even prevent people from getting divorced, they get some financial coaching, is all the better for me. So again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on. I learned so much today.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity. You're so easy to chat with. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.